Hey everybody, it's Sherry. Welcome back to the Rustic South, or welcome if you're new. Hey, today we're going to make a couple of crafts, and they both have to do with candle holders. One of them is going to be a handmade candle box, and here is the inspiration that I saw on Etsy or somewhere. And here are the pieces we're going to need for it. Okay, so here's one of those, boards you get at Dollar Tree, the tags. And then I found this little milk can at Hobby Lobby. So I'm taking this little circle and I'm going to trace it so that we can make a top for it there, right? So let's do that. And then I took the board itself, I painted the back side of it black. Excuse me. And we'll distress it here in a minute. I spray painted it. It was just super simple, super easy. So now we're going to get some cardboard and we're going to make sides for it. Okay, sides and a bottom so that you can set a candle on it and hang it on a wall or set it on a shelf. So I'm just marking, and I'll show you here shortly the measurements here for the cardboard. We're kind of gonna make the sides a little decorative, right? A few curves and so forth. It's 4.5 inches down to a certain point, and then I go to 3 inches. I'm gonna mark those better. You'll see it there. 4.5 inches to 4 inches to 3 inches, and I'll show you here. I'm gonna cut it, what the end result is going to look like. So we're going to need a platform for the bottom, and it's going to make some tall sides because those tags, those large tags from Dollar Tree are kind of tall, right? So we're going to be cutting out some sides to make some sides for it. And then we're also out of cardboard, which I don't believe I show you on the video because I actually had one already made. We're going to make a star to put on the top of it, because the inspiration one is made out of wood and it had a star cutout in it. Now, some of those boards you find at Dollar Tree have cutouts in them, so if you find one with a cutout that you like, use that one. So this is an old, so that's the shape it's going to be in, and it's 12 and 3/4 inches from top to bottom, okay? And it's 4 inches from side to side on the widest part on the bottom. Okay. I'll add those measurements in there before I post this. So I'm just using some flaps that came off of a box that I got in the mail. I have to really tell you that tool that I'm using there is so handy to cut cardboard. My husband did get me a rotary cutter thing, and I keep forgetting that I have it. But that other thing acts just like a saw. It cuts through cardboard so easily. So if you get one, which they're on Amazon, of course, be super careful with it, right? Because it is sharp. So there are going to be our two sides. Okay, we're going to paint those solid black just like we did the tag. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm showing you here. We're going to need to trim a little bit off the bottom because they overlap a little bit. We're also going to need some tongue depressors, if you will. I use the wider ones instead of the skinny ones. You can use any size you want. Now we are going to glue that together on the bottom there where they meet in the middle. And that's going to be the basic candle holder box. I call them candle boxes. So here's the tongue depressors, and see I painted the board already and I glued it together. And I went ahead and cut them, just, lay them on. You know how to cut tongue depressors, right? Just lay them on and glue them down, and make sure you don't put them too far over so that it's not going to fold up on the sides, right, like it's supposed to. So just beware of that. And they fit across there just perfectly. There may have been teeny space here and there kind of thing, but as soon as there's about 10 sticks there that I had to cut off. So instead of painting this, because I really kind of wanted a natural wood look, but with a little bit of a stain on it, so I'm using my wax. This is my wax paste. I did get my new wax in. You really can't see much of a difference there. But the color does really come out well. And then here I'm using the ink pads to add a little more depth to it, because it wasn't really, that paste wasn't really giving it the color I hoped it would. I wanted it a little bit deeper. Then of course at some point we're going to, which I don't have on the video, we're going to sand that cardboard. See, that color is nice actually. Now you can see some of the wood grain there, right? We're going to sand the cardboard. We're going to sand the tag so that we have some not so perfect so I do a little something different, which I've done in another video before. So I take this star that I had already cut out. I was going to use it for something else. Just if you don't have a star, if you can't find one anywhere that would fit on here, just do a normal star like you learned in elementary school, and then cut it out. Or you can even paint one on there. You don't even have to do a cutout. You can just paint one directly onto the tag. But what I'm going to do with it, though, to give it a little texture, a little dimension, is I'm going to use paper towels on it, because I like the texture that paper towels give to things. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately. A few times I think I've done that. So I'm just going to be ripping paper towels and sticking them on while the paint is wet. So there's no glue necessary for this step unless you want to use stick glue. I wouldn't use hot glue, because it will get, leave. You'll see I think you'll see the impressions of the glue. Oh, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you're finding this video enjoyable, and that you may have something in your stash that, oh yeah, I have that, let's do this. Of course, on the end you'll see where I hung it. I ended up hanging it in my bathroom. I took down something else and put it up in its place. So if you would like and subscribe, that would be so helpful for my channel. Really appreciate it so much. I appreciate all you guys who are subscribers, and anyone new, please subscribe if you like what you see. So I do leave a little, a little bit of that paper towel not stuck down totally, because again, to me, farmhouse is not perfect. It's nowhere perfect. I like it not perfect. I like things to look, and if you want to say, I don't know. But anyway, here's the cardboard. I went ahead and we sanded it. So you see that's the sanding that I did. If you wanted to, you could put some wax on there to deepen that brown. You could do that. I didn't do it, but I thought about it afterwards, and I went around the edge of the tag and I sanded it off too. I like that look. So, so to me, farmhouse is not perfect. I don't want to say, I guess imperfect is the proper word to use. So when I did the paper towel on the star, I didn't want it perfect, right? I like that, imperfect. And I didn't even totally, you know, paint all of the paper towel on the star white. I'm green, because you can see some of the white. It really suits my fancy that way. So you do you, and maybe you want to put fabric on it. Maybe you just want to paint the star, right? So I'm going to go around the edge with the distressed ink. That's a dark color. Now see, it's not even glued down at the top in one corner, but I'm going to leave it that way because I prefer stuff that way. That is one good thing about these little ink pads. You can go around and put it in, you can hold it in your hand and put it in places where those bigger ink pads, you can't do it. So, oh, that looks so nice. It turned out so, I love that. That's so me. Excuse me, I'm drinking my coffee. So that's going to be at the top. And then here's going to be that's going to be the bottom. Okay, and we're going to put the candle in the middle. Now I chose to put 2 candlesticks. Well, not like that, but 2 candlesticks in mine. But if you wanted to use a larger like pillar candle, you could. I just wasn't sure how I wanted to put it on there, so I opted not to do the pillar candle for mine, because I didn't really want it sticking over the edge. So you may want to decide what kind of what you're going to put on the little shelf on the bottom before you cut it, because you may want to make your shelf a little deeper than mine, right? So so yeah, so in that measurements in the beginning, when you're cutting your cardboard, decide before then what you might want to put on the little shelf so that you know how deep you need to make it, okay? All right, so that's basically it for that project. No, it's not. Wait. All right, so here's project number 2. I'll show you the end result shortly of the first one. So here's 2 cans I decided that I wanted to do something with. And I have, you know, what feels like 1,000 paper towels right now because I've bought a couple of packs of these. And so I want something to use them on something, right? So I had these are 2 cans of canned chicken that you get at the store. So they're kind of deep cans. They're not like pet food cans. They're a little deeper. Okay, so I'm going to use this paper towel. Of course, you need to separate the layers. And you can use any paper towels you want. Right, I just decided I wanted to use these since it was still kind of, it's spring, of course, Easterish. These definitely go with this time of year. But my intent is to take them outside eventually and use them in my garden because I'm trying to make an English garden in my backyard. If you guys are crafters, you guys probably have multiple things, crafts that that you're involved in. So gardening is my other love. So I do a lot of that when I'm not doing stuff inside the house or with kids. So I went ahead and punched holes in this one so that I could hang them eventually or put a handle on them. You just never know when you want a good handle on something. So one of them I'm going to turn into a candle holder. The other one I'm going to just make it for putting some fake flowers on a shelf, right now, right? So one of them I did not paint the can white, and one of them we did paint the can white. So eventually you'll see that in a minute. So here's the white chalk paint I'm going to use on the other can. I really have to put that in a jar because it is rusting along the top edge. I've had it for a couple years now. Again, I barely used any of that whole can, right? So I painted the can, and I do like the look that it gives. It makes the colors on the napkin pop, of course, right? So there you go. You can see it much better there. And then you blow dry it to help dry it. Be very careful because those cans get hot, so make sure you have it on cool air, or put on some gloves or something, some heat-proof gloves. I am folding the top down because I want it to kind of cover the edges of the can. And everybody who makes comments, I so appreciate comments. There's the difference in the one painted and one not. And of course, we're going to put some wax on it here in a minute. But make sure that's fully dry before you go ripping off that extra paper, okay? I don't want you to rip your paper. If you didn't have, one thing you could do, I started to say, if you don't have any white paint, if you ran out, let's say, you could use white wax on this if you wanted to maybe brighten it up a little bit rather than a dark wax, depending on what your style is. So, you know, that's a possibility. Okay, so you could always do that. All right. So I got this new wax. This is what I've been wanting to get, and I had to order it because I couldn't find it at Home Depot ever. Every time I went in there, it was gone. So I finally ordered it, and it came yesterday. Dun -da, hence a video. Not like I don't have something else to use, but why I want to try this because I'm dying to try it, to see what it feels like. Okay, so I'm not going to be putting any more embellishments on this because for being outside or what I want to do with it, this is exactly the way I want it, except we are going to put some sort of handle on it. So I have to figure that part out. Here's the whole, I'll fold that in a minute. Let's see, I need a brush. And what kind of brush is that I need? You know, I bought this at one point, but I don't think this is not, because see, when I do this, I see all these little dots on there, so I don't think this is ever what I'm going to end up using for this successfully. So let's move that over and get out a different kind of brush. Let's get out a new one of these. Okay, so these are my little stampers. That looks cool. Is that oily? It is oily. Yeah, okay. All right, no. All right, so I don't know if I should use a paintbrush for this or one of these. All right, we'll use one of these. Look at that. All right, so here we go. Ooh, that's really dark. That's fine. I love dark. I love it dark. There we go. Let's do that all the way around the bottom. I have to put some black on there because I think it needs to be toned down a little bit more for my taste. Again, these harsh pinks and purples and stuff I am not usually a huge fan of. So we're going to darken this in some spots to tone down some of those pinks and purples. I might even take a little this and rough it up a little bit too, just to, you know, tone it down a little bit. Guess I went really dark there, didn't I? Let's see. Let's see if we do that a little bit on here. What it will do. It'll bring out some of that white, which we can go back over that again. I don't mind the metal coming through. I'm fine with that. Don't want it looking too new. It just won't go with everything if it looks too new. This spot is too dark, so I gotta tone that down a little. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, can you see that? Can you see how grungy that looks? Right, all right, so let's see. If we do it to this one, what will it do? This is the one without the paint underneath it. You definitely don't need a whole lot of that, which I like, because that other one that I have, it's it comes off very thick. This one is thinner. I like it better. Okay. I didn't grunge it up at all. Yeah, I mean, as far as, well, you don't have to do much on this one because it's going straight to the metal, right? So not much. Not much is necessary when it's directly on the metal. Let's see if that black makes it any better. Any different. I'm guessing you guys are all done decorating for Easter by at this point, probably, I would say, right? That's what I would think. I am. I've been done with it for weeks and weeks, basically. I don't usually do too much for Easter, but I'll go around the inside of this one. Okay. Okay, so there's the can on my shelf with some roses in it. You could put any kind of, you know, fake flowers. I usually don't buy too many fake flowers, but those little cans turned out really cute. And here I'm showing you, this is the plastic. These are some little plastic dessert plates that you can get at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use it as the topper for the other candle, for the other can that we did. So I took it outside, I just spray painted it black. Didn't really make sure it was totally covered, just kind of, you know, well enough. So we're going to cover it with the same paper that we put on the can. And see, there's the pillow candle we'll put on that one. If you're like me, I throw away these cans. I mean, I don't use these cans constantly, but you know, every time you throw away a can, it's like, ooh, when you're a crafter, can I do something with that? Can I make something with it? You know, there's only so many cans you can save from the trash heap, but sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And I like these because they're kind of deep. Um, and I've seen some other things for putting them outside in the garden, and I've been kind of wanting to do that. So that kind of made me want to keep them. But right now we're going to use them inside the house for the moment. So yeah, I'm going to have to add another piece on here. I mean, to make it easier on yourself, just use a whole piece and put it all in at once. It's kind of weird like that sometimes. So then I went to lay that down, and I'm like, ooh, the pattern's not going to match, right? So then I was like trying to find another piece that with the same kind of pattern that was there already. Which of course it didn't work out totally, but you know what, it works, right? Because we're going to cover it. We're going to cover the top of the plate with moss, and you're going to stick a candle on it, so nobody's even going to see that they're not perfect, right? But if you want it perfect, then I would use just a sheet, right? The one thing I don't like is that you can see that line across there. That I don't care for. Okay, so blow dry that and let that dry. And then yes, so this is the part where I fall in love with it. At first it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's just a plate that's covered with a napkin, right? No big deal, right? Same thing with the cans. They're okay, right? I mean, everybody does them. Everybody does them a million ways. It's just, is it speaking to you, right? So what I do is I take the little sandpaper thing and I go around and I scuff it up. Because again, I don't like it perfect. So I don't know if I show you on screen me scuffing it, but it turned out so well. See, I was showing you this. I was like, well, okay, you know, you could use pit berries, but this one, you know, you could use pit berries. You could use anything because I was wanting to just put it in the can and not have a topper on it. But I decided to use the little plate as the topper, and because of the pattern on the napkin, I had to turn it with the top open up, so that's the hence where the little plate falls into the project, because I just didn't like the candle sitting down in the can. So anyway, so here's where I'm going to go around and scuff it up with my sander. And I finally, after I did that, I liked it a lot better because it's not perfect, right? I scuffed it up so that some of the paper is peeling off, and it's got that scratchy, but then again, we're going to cover it anyway, so you can't really see it in the end, right? Maybe at some point, you know, you may change it, and you may, you know, you may see it at some point, right? Or you may end up using it somewhere else in the house. Who knows? And I wasn't going to glue it to the top of the can, but I decided to go ahead and do it for now. See, that's the way I like it. That's the way I like stuff. So that turned out all right. So I did put a little glue there just to hold them together. And I decided I'm going to cover my candle. Okay, because I don't particularly like candles that don't have anything on them. But that's my doing, okay? Um, so yeah. So that's some coffee stained tea towel. You can get them at Walmart. It's a 6-inch pillar candle. So I do cut a strip of this tea towel to go around the candle because I don't like my candles like that, right? That's my whole purpose for putting a piece of fabric around it. But if you guys have some cute crafting paper you want to put on it, or you know, some kind of wrap, but that's, again, it's me, right? But I'll show you what I do. Excuse me. I love ripping fabric. It's, I don't know, for some reason it's fun. And see, that's like way too big. I was going to wrap it, and I was like, no, that looks stupid. It looks like it has a shawl on or something. It was like, no. So I ended up cutting it basically to the same size as the candle, cutting off all that excess. Um, and I didn't glue it onto the candle because I didn't want it glued. See, I was really wanting that stained part in there, but I didn't really want to waste a bunch of the tea towel, so I was like arguing with myself about where to excuse me, about where to cut it at. Okay, and then I made it like just barely overlap, and I didn't glue it or anything closed because I decided to put a little bit of, what is that, creepy cloth? So I had some creepy cloth that I had stained also with coffee. Excuse me, gosh. Stained with coffee. And I didn't realize how long this stuff was. I've never pulled it apart, to be honest. I really didn't need to pull it apart. It was kind of stupid to pull it apart. It makes it easier to cut if you just leave it. Anyway, afterthought. So I cut a long strip of it. And I did double it. So again, don't unwrap your creepy cloth. Just cut a strip of it. Let it be doubled. And we wrapped it around it. I wrapped it around. Cut off the excess. I really wanted to use some other kind of fabric, but I was afraid it was going to clash too much with the colors that are in those napkins, the purples and the pinks and stuff, you know, the spring colors. And those aren't really the colors of fabrics that I usually buy, so that's why I went monochromatic with these. Everything's coffee stained, right? And then I decided I didn't like it in the middle, so I moved it up more near the top of the candle. Cut off your excess. This is where I was pushing it up to the top, and I liked it better up higher than in the middle. Yeah. Also, it lends to have more room at the bottom for when you put it on the candle holder, so you can put stuff, you know, around it, which we do. Hey, if you guys like what you're watching, could you do me a favor and hit the like button and maybe the subscribe button? and the notification bell so that whenever I do post another video, you'll get a notification. Really helps out the channel. Look, now see, that looks cuter. That looks a lot better up at the top. And then I spread it out because it looks better all spread out rather than all bunched up. At least to me it does. So there's the end result for the candle. And it's going to go right in the middle. So I'm going to use some moss, which I'm not going to show you guys here, but you'll see in the end result. Just put some moss around it. And I did use some pit berries, some white pit berries that I had purchased back, I think around Christmas time. I had put around it. And we do put batteries in it. This candle, I really like these candles. They have a timer on them. They flicker. So here, yeah, so they're from Hobby Lobby. The pit berries. And I have moss around it now. From this angle, it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see. Not too much moss, but a little bit of, I think I wrap it around about 4 times. And then cut off. And then you're going to fuss around with it for another 5 minutes, you know, as we always do. So I had to take it off so that it wouldn't lay the way I wanted it to, so I had to mess around with it a little bit. But thank you so much for stopping by today and watching the video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have something at home. Maybe this inspires you to do something with something that you have sitting in your stash that you just didn't know what you wanted to do today. I'm going to try to tilt it here so you can kind of see it from this angle, but yeah, of course you're going to have pictures here. I'm going to show you pictures of it on the shelf. I ended up putting this in my bathroom as well. There it is. That's in the hall next to the bunny that I had put the same paper on. There it is in my bathroom on the shelf. It turned out really cute. Just as something, you know, just as recycling stuff, you know, because I like to recycle stuff around here at the Rustic South. And here's the other one. I hung it in my bathroom, I showed you, and I put a tag on it, said farmhouse. It turned out really nice for just a few bucks and some cardboard. Right? So I hope you guys will give these projects a try. Drop me a comment, let me know. Show me some pictures if you wish. Bye.